This is ORLAfm.
A warm welcome to my world, Walker's World on ORLAfm. I'm Peter Walker, and we're going on a trip into the weird and wonderful, but true, well, probably true, tales on Walker's World. On my show, we look for the most amazing, often ill-documented, connections involving Polish people across history. In the USA, this Pole does not just have one day, but he has two dedicated to him. I'd heard of one of them, but not of both. He also has an American village named after him, and every year it celebrates its Polish origins with polka days. Wow! He's a famous participant in the American War of Independence, and he saved the life of revolutionary leader George Washington. Earlier in Poland, he'd attempted to capture a king, so it's no wonder that he'd had to escape to North America. These events were just part of his remarkable story. The Americans call him Casimir Pulaski, but he was really Count Casimir Pulaski, and he was born in early March in the year 1745. He was involved in the Bar Confederation, opposing the Polish king Stanisław II Augustus Poniatowski as a Russian puppet ruler. This was the start of many adventures, which included his capture by the Russians. He's released. No trip to Siberia for him, and at one time he raised a 4,000-strong army. He consequently received international attention, but on 15th of September 1769 his forces suffered badly at the Battle of Włodawa. By 1771 there was a change in his fortunes, and he commanded Polish forces in the successful defence of Jasna Góra. There were more battles, and in July 1771 there was a plot to kidnap King Poniatowski. It failed, and the Austrians expelled Pulaski from its territories. Pulaski was holed up in Jasna Góra, which he left in May 1772. The Bar Confederation was defeated, so Pulaski had to find something else to do. It didn't look very good for him. A Polish court in his absence sentenced him to death for attempted regicide. His attempt to raise a force to help the Turks was foiled by their defeat. In France, he spent some time in debtors' prisons, but friends sent money to rescue him. Other friends included the Marquis de Lafayette and Benjamin Franklin, who recruited him for the Continental Army in the American Civil War. In June 1777, he was in North America, where he wrote to George Washington, "I came here where freedom is being defended, to serve it, and to live or die for it." He was in action at the Battle of Brandywine, where he reported to George Washington that the British were trying to cut off the line of retreat. Washington ordered him to collect as many men as he could, and the result was a cavalry charge. This averted the defeat and probably saved George Washington's life. Another result was the appointment for Pulaski as Brigadier General of the Cavalry. He didn't have an easy job. For a start, he didn't speak much English, so the Americans couldn't understand him very well. Pulaski was a bit of a know-all, and he had different ideas about discipline and cavalry tactics. He wanted to form a unit of lancers, but his idea was thwarted. He resigned. A bit later, in 1778, he tried again, and once more was a brigadier general, and became commander of the horse, which became the Pulaski Cavalry Legion. By August 1778, there were just over 300 men of different nationalities. It was short of funding, so Pulaski provided some of his own money. It was time for action, which firstly was a setback, when he lost many men at an engagement known as the affair at Little Egg Harbour. He then was ordered to take part in an expedition against the Iroquois Indians. He objected. he wanted to resign. He was instead sent to Charleston, where the British Army was threatening to take the place. His legion engaged in a skirmish, but most of his small infantry force of 60 men perished. Pulaski remained in the city, where he suffered bouts of malaria. Things looked up a bit for him when he was ordered to take his troops to Augusta. This was part of General Benjamin Lincoln's objective of retaking Savannah from the British. Pulaski's troops captured a British outpost and then acted as an advance guard for the French units commanded by Admiral Charles Hector Comte d'Estaing. On 9th of October 1779, he commanded the entire American and French cavalry in the assault on Savannah. He had to rally fleeing French troops during a cavalry charge, and there he met his end. He was hit by grape shot and was carried from the battlefield. He was taken on board a ship, but he didn't regain consciousness and he died 2 days later. Pulaski was controversial in life, and there are some mysteries surrounding his death. As one of the stories, some people said that he was alive when he was taken from the ship to Thunderbolt, a town near Savannah, where he died and was buried. Some people suggested that he was buried in Savannah. That didn't leave him in peace, because in 1853 human remains were discovered in Thunderbolt. These were thought to be the remains of Pulaski, so they're buried at the Casimir Pulaski Monument in Savannah. There was still no peace, because in 1996 the remains were exhumed for examination. The hole in the skull's head was consistent with Pulaski's fatal wound. The age was about right. A later Smithsonian Institute study in the early part of this century revealed that the DNA was most likely that of Pulaski. Although he lived as a man, he had some female characteristics. That was a surprise. Controversies aside, there were plenty of honours for the late Pulaski. 150 years after his death, Congress recognised 11th of October in each year as Casimir Pulaski's Day. And there's a big parade on New York's Fifth Avenue. This is supported by the large Polish-American community. People, however, are not content with commemorating his death, because in Illinois and in some other places there's a Pulaski's Day on the first Monday in March, close to the anniversary of his birth. So, happy Pulaski's Day! If you miss the 11th of October, you can celebrate on 5th of March, and in July you could dance the polka in Pulaski Village. I'm Peter Walker, and next time I will return to the weird and wonderful. Join me again at Walker's World on ORLAfm.